Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, this time of the year, the one fishing that I think draws more people than anything else is the fishing that we really don't have in this county much, but that is what takes place with the salmon and the steelhead entering the tributary waters from Lake Ontario. And this is really an important time for that. It's a huge time for those counties, Oswego County in particular, where the Salmon River flows through, because people from all over the country come there to catch a salmon. So the conditions right now are critical to any of us going fishing there. And as I speak, we've had so much rain lately that all of our tributaries in the area in this part of the state are up and flowing much more rapidly. Well, in the case of the Salmon River, or any of those tribs, but the Salmon River is a noticeable size river that if there's more water flowing, the fish sense it. I think it's an important thing for you to realize that those salmon that are waiting to come in and go up the river to spawn and die, they all die. Every one of these Pacific salmon that are part of the salmon in Lake Ontario are going to die when they try to spawn. But when they feel that water current increase, that stimulates them to start their journey. And it also stimulates the other fish to come in. There's already been a lot of salmon in the river. I've talked to people at Fat Nancy's bait shop, and yes, there's a shop called Fat Nancy's in Pulaski, and they do a tremendous business because they're right off 81. But anyway, I call them to talk to them to get an idea of what's happening. They said right now with the river high, there's a lot of fish in the river, and the salmon have moved up to the very upper ranges of the river, and there's still, they said, about 2 weeks of really good salmon fishing. But you get a bonus. Or the steelhead fishermen get a bonus that they might hook a salmon. But here's the bonus. There's these other species in the river right now. There's steelhead and brown trout, but especially steelhead have come in. Because this is what they do. They wait for the salmon to enter the river, and then they come up to feed on all the salmon eggs that start flowing down through the current. That's the number one thing. And second of all, as the salmon start to die, their flesh, of course, starts to rot, and the bits of flesh that break off, that becomes food for the steelhead. And so a fisherman should know this. And if they know this, then the lures that they use will try to look like, well, the lures aren't going to try to do anything. Fishermen are going to try to use lures that look like what the steelhead want to eat. And in this case, it's salmon eggs. So you can actually use salmon eggs, or you can use beads and so forth that resemble salmon eggs. Or there are flesh flies. They call them flesh flies. They're flies that are tied to look like bits of flesh coming down in the water. Now, the other thing to be aware of right now is that as those fish go farther up, there's more fishermen in the upper reaches, and the fish become line shy. And we'll talk about that in another show. But that's an important thing. That's something that I've never really talked too much about. And there's people that believe each side of the coin on that. But this is the incredible fishing that exists in our region right now. And if you're going to do it, you need to use the right type of baits. You need to be down there in those sections and realize that as that water increases in speed, the fish are constantly going to be moving. They're less likely to stay in a given pool. They'll be moving further and further upstream. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.